Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen of the court. I'm going to start this off the right way by doing the oath. I swear by Almighty God that I will tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help me God. If you will give me just 1 minute to collect my notes. As we all know, with this COVID-19 outbreak, we're all having to go through changes, just as well as me. 1 second, and I will grab my notes and we can start. Okay. So, my name is Michael Brooks. I am a state certified fire investigator for the state of Illinois. I currently work for the Illinois Fire Service Institute, and I also work part-time for Champaign County, which is where this fire happened, was in Champaign County. I was called to the scene prior to this to conduct a fire investigation. I have been a fire investigator now for 5 years. Before that, I was a firefighter, and so I've been a part of the fire service now for 10 years, and I've done numerous fire investigations up to this point of this fire. The fire in question happened on February 21st of 2020. The time of the first alarm was 1:17 p.m. There was a report of a fire at 614 May Street. And the first engine company arrived. They noticed heavy, dense black smoke on the northeast corner, Alpha Delta. They dispatched a team, a crew with hardlines charged into the house. They encountered minor smoke conditions with good visibility. Upon arriving into the living room, they had near to zero visibility. Upon that, the family arrived and the crews were told to go to defensive and to stop the search and rescue because all the family was outside. Upon completion of putting the fire out, as the engine company was putting hose line up and getting ready to secure the scene, they actually had a full alarm with children trapped 3 blocks away. They had to leave quickly, and at that point the scene was unsecured, no law enforcement, no fire. That happened approximately 2:05 p.m. with upon my arrival was approximately 2:20, so about 15 minutes from the time the fire team left to my arrival. My job when I arrived on the scene was to only do a cause and origin of the fire only. Upon entering the house, I started to take pictures of the exterior and interior, and upon entering the living room, I started to notice that personal items that should have been in the house, or usually are in houses with families like this one, they were missing. And it almost appeared as if the living room had been staged with old furniture and a broken TV, which is not something you normally would see in a fire or with a single family dwelling. You just don't see that kind of stuff here. You can look in my notes that I will provide after this with pictures, with the evidence. Upon further investigation in the living room behind the TV, I found some type of device that had been melted. I don't know what it is at this time. I'm still waiting on the state lab to inform us what it was. I took pictures and bagged and tagged that device. Upon tagging that device and the pictures, I did notice what appeared to be a pour pattern that led from the TV into the kitchen. At that time, I apologize. I collected samples of the pour pattern, and at that point, once all the evidence had been collected, I did notify law enforcement that I was going to be charging those homeowners with arson. At that time, after I had finished up my documentation, the homeowners did arrive with their attorney and inform me that I had violated their constitutional right, their Fourth Amendment, which is their protected right against warrantless searches and seizures, which is where we are today. I'm going to defend my evidence for the prosecution by going into small details on a case that really started all the Fourth Amendment which is pertaining to arson investigation, which is what we have here. It is a Michigan versus Tyler case of 1978. It kind of was like the pathway to where we are now with arson and the Fourth Amendment right. I'm going to read you a little excerpt from it. So the exception that came about from this case was that it permits a warrantless search where the circumstances are such that it's either impossible or impractical to obtain a warrant before conducting the search, which in my case was the prime focus of this, because I was not there under the pretense that it was an arson. I was there to document the origin and cause, which is what any fire investigator is going to do. Upon from there, apologize. It is this exception to the warrant requirement which has been recognized as a justification for a warrantless search of a fire scene to determine its origin and cause, which, as I just stated a minute ago, that's the only reason I was there, was to determine the origin and cause, document it, and then send it off to wherever it needed to go, such as the fire chief and local law enforcement. Upon determining the origin and the cause is when I came to the conclusion that I was going to be charging the homeowners with arson. One ruling that you did find from this is that there is a reasonable amount of time that a fire investigator such as myself has to be able to conduct their search. And the case in question, Michigan versus Tyler, they didn't really put a time on that, but a reasonable time is to be determined by the courts or law enforcement. So like myself and where we're at right now, I believe and know that I was at that fire scene in a reasonable time. I was there within 15 minutes of the fire department leaving, and I collected my evidence and thorough analysis of the house within a half an hour. If that, I would have to go back to my notes to look. I did not go back to the scene after this. I had collected all my evidence. Therefore, I didn't need a warrant with any more searches. If I would have or thought I would have had to go back to collect any more evidence, I would have had a warrant prior. So, to sum this all up, due to the facts, because of the Michigan versus Tyler case, dealing with the reasonable amount of time allowed for a fire investigator to search a scene, the evidence I collected, and going through my chain of command, this is why I believe that evidence that I have submitted to the court and for the prosecution should be allowed in this court. And it was collected legally and did not need a warrant because of the reasonable amount of time that I was on the scene. I thank you for your time and consideration. I hope you all have a great day.